Hello everyone. This is the 21st part of the story, I'm Voldemort. Chapter 148, Approval. Pop. Master has a letter from the ministry. Mimsy appears, waving a letter in hand, expertly ruining the moment between Tom and Druella. Sigh. Thanks, Mimsy. Tom says sarcastically, but most elves don't understand sarcasm and Mimsy is one of them. You're welcome, Master. Mimsy says with a pep in her step as she walks over and hands off the letter. Breaking away from Druella, Tom takes the letter, removes the wax seal and unfolds it. Dear Mr. Thomas Riddle. On behalf of the Ministry of Magic and the Wisengamot, I congratulate you on being approved to receive the Order of Merlin, First Class. A ceremony will be held to honor you and your great deeds on the date of August 10th, outside the ministry in Whitehall for all to see. Usually, these things would be held inside the ministry, but you are a special case. Many citizens would be thrilled to attend the ceremony, hence the outdoor decision. Thank you for your time and for everything you've done. Please reply at your earliest convenience. Generic Witch Secretary name. What does it say? Druella asks as Tom stopped reading. See for yourself. Tom smirks and hands over the letter. Druella snatches the letter and began reading it aloud. Congratulate you on being approved to receive the Order of Merlin, First Class. Tom, that's great. Druella exclaimed excitedly. Yeah, it took them long enough. Tom scoffed. Well, I'm sure many of those that decide who receives an Order of Merlin were against someone so young getting one. Druella reasons. Sure, but they had the entire school year to come to a decision. How slow at your job could you really be? Tom says. The real reason that Tom didn't get this letter sooner was that there's so little information about him. Before anyone can receive any sort of Order of Merlin, they must go through a very extensive background check. The government cannot be seen giving this prestigious award to someone unworthy, which is funny because Lockhart was unworthy yet still received an Order of Merlin. Other things are looked into as well, such as the possibility of said recipient turning into a Dark Lord, which was a possibility as a few Dark Lords have risen from Slytherin. Although, Tom's reputation in school helped wash away that possibility. When they looked into his reputation at school, they found he was loved by all houses and didn't show any dark-leaning behavior. It doesn't matter how long it took. What matters is that you got it. You should be excited, Tom. Only a handful of people have received such an honor. It's extremely hard to get an Order of Merlin, First Class. Druella lectures Tom. You're right. I shouldn't be so pessimistic. Tom says and moves to take a seat at Druella's desk. What are you doing? She asks. Writing my reply. Tom says as he grabs a piece of paper and a quill. Remind me to show you the wonders of modern pens one of these days. After writing a short reply stating he would be attending the ceremony, Tom folded the letter and sealed it in wax. Here you go, Mimsy. Tom hands the letter to his trusty elf. Can you deliver it to the ministry personally for me? Mimsy is on it. She grabbed the letter and popped away. Since that's taken care of, tell me about this ritual. Druella said with a hand on her hip. Have I told you about Manasa yet? Tom asks. Snake goddess that wants you to be her avatar? Druella clarifies. Yup, that's the one. Tom went on to explain everything that happened. After explaining everything and getting berated for doing something dangerous without at least letting her know, Tom was released from Druella's custody safe and sound. Although he was forgiven and set free, Tom was forced to promise her a week-long getaway for just the two of them before school started again. When Tom left, he didn't return to Camartage. He promised Lady Death that he would bring the Hallows together. Tom isn't sure if it's a trap, but he's willing to take the risk. If she wanted him dead or something, she would have done so already. Appearing in front of the vault of Tintagel Castle, Tom opens it up and strolls inside. On one side of the room is the open tesseract with the space stone inside. On the other is the cloak of invisibility and the resurrection stone. The cloak and the space stone are still being analyzed with floating golden runes hovering and circling above them. With a wave of his hand, the runes above the cloak disappear. What a waste! Tom shakes his head as he picks up the two halos. As he picks up these two, he now has all three on his person at the same time. The second he has them all on him, a pitch-black aura surrounds the three halos. That black viscous aura exits the halos and flows into Tom, causing him to glow as well. Soon, the halos stop producing the pitch-black aura and start to crumble into dust. Each of the halos disintegrated into nothing as the last of the black aura entered Tom's body. The thick black aura surrounding Tom's body completely covering him, making him look like pitch-black figure. Soon the black aura disappears, but Tom is no longer standing there. The entirety of Tintagel Castle is empty without a single resident. One thing was for sure, Druella will be pissed as Tom told her nothing of this. Especially if he doesn't return soon. Chapter 149 Death Part Dose. When Tom disappeared from Tintagel Castle, he appeared once again in the realm of death. Darkness surrounded him, but instead of a forest area with mountains in the background, Tom appeared in a dark throne room with a beautiful woman sitting upon the throne. Finally, I officially have a master again. Lady Death exclaims in a child's excitement. So, you weren't lying, huh? That's good. Tom let out a relieved sigh. He chose to trust Lady Death and hope that she wasn't trying to trick him into being enslaved or something. Of course I told you the truth. I am death itself. I have no reason to lie. If I wanted you dead, I merely have to wish it so. She says haughtily. Well, thanks for not wishing me dead, I guess. Tom says with a shake of his head. You're welcome, Master. Lady Death answers. Looking around the throne room, Tom was entranced by how this realm looked. Everything was pitch black, yet he could still see every detail of the room and everything in it. So, how does this master stuff work? Is it the you're my slave type master, the teacher type master, or the sexual role play type master? If it's the last one, then I'm afraid I'll have to decline. I'm currently in a relationship after all. Tom asks. The first one. I'm your slave, master. She moans out as she starts feeling up her body. Wow, she's really into this master/slave stuff, huh? Tom thought as he watched Lady Death writhe on her throne. That's interesting, to say the least. Tom stated as he couldn't think of any other way to describe his new situation. Tom wasn't going to look a gift horse in the mouth. God, that's such a bad saying. Tom wasn't going to overthink this. He just got the universal entity of death as his slave. He's just going to take this how it is and move on. So, do I get any sort of power-ups or something since I'm your master now? Tom asked. You now have all of the powers of the Deathly Hallows. Other than that, you and anyone you wish will be immune to me, which means no aging as well. Lady Death explained. Huh? Did I just get immortality? Tom thought as he checked that off his list of future plans. Sweet, I want to age until I'm 26 years old though. Once I hit that age, you can stop my aging. I have a few people that I want you to give immortality to as well, but I want to talk to them about it first. All right, just let me know, Master. Lady Death says with a moan. God, she really does get off on this master stuff. Whatever, it works better in my favor anyway. Tom thought. Is there anything else? Number. Although you fit the criteria to be my master, you cannot become my avatar or champion. Lady Death explained with a far-off look in her eyes. What's wrong? Tom asked. Well, I have an avatar already, but she was imprisoned in hell by her own father. God, I hate that hypocrite of a man. How dare he use Hela as a scapegoat after all that she has done for him? He throws a little girl into wars of his own making and expects her to just come out of it perfectly fine and dandy. No. The girl needed help and a loving family. Lady Death starts ranting. Is she talking about Hela from Asgard? Was she Lady Death's avatar in the movie? Tom wondered. If you're so mad about this girl's imprisonment, why haven't you broken her out? Tom asks. Like many other gods and high-level entities, I cannot enter or interfere with the material world. I can only do my job as Death and collect dead souls. Nothing more. Nothing less. Lady Death explains with an annoyed pout. This is when Tom found out he got a useless slave. She may be the entity of death, but it seems she can never come to the mortal plane. Although she's a bit useless, Tom wasn't disheartened at all. Just the immortality he gained from her was worth becoming Lady Death's master. So when you said you could kill me if you wished it so, you were lying. Tom stayed with a raised eyebrow. I thought the almighty Death herself has no need for such small petty things. He teased with a small smirk. Well, it's embarrassing all right. I'm one of the most powerful entities in the universe, yet I'm still bound by these rules like everyone else. It's humiliating. Lady Death starts pouting and the room seems to grow darker. Ha 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 ha. Tom just starts laughing out of nowhere. Master, stop laughing at me. Lady Death's pout deepens and the room gets darker again. Hee hee, I'm sorry. It's just that I didn't think you would be this cute. Tom chuckled as his laughter simmered down. Cute? Lady Death looks deeply appalled. I'm not cute. I'm Death. Death can't be cute. Well, I'm afraid that you are, in fact, cute. Tom stated matter-of-factly. Maybe I should go back to my skeleton look? No one dared to call me cute back then. Lady Death pondered her options. As for that girl that you want out of hell, what's her name? Tom asked. Hela Odin's daughter. She answered. If I were to break her out, would she serve me? Since you can't come to the mortal plane, having your avatar would come in handy. Tom asks. Yes, I would just have to contact her after you break her out. Our communication is currently blocked by Odin. If you do plan on breaking her out, please be careful, Master. She was very unstable due to the many wars her father put her through from a very early age. That combined with an unstable family life and the betrayal of her father made Hela untrusting of others. Although you can never die as long as I'm around, Hela knows many ways to trap someone as she has been trapped. Chapter 150 Death Part 2 Squared. After Lady Death's warning, Tom pondered over what to do. Hela is probably thousands of years old with tons of battle experience from countless wars waged during her time in Asgard. Not only does she have all of that time and experience honing her godlike powers, but she's also the avatar of one of the strongest entities in the universe, Death itself. Tom may be an avatar of a snake goddess, but Manasa is nowhere near the same league as Lady Death. He knows his limits and understands that Hela would most likely destroy him in seconds, which is why she would make a perfect servant. With his connection to Lady Death as her master, Tom could get Hela as his servant as well. This makes up for how completely useless Lady Death turned out to be. Well, not completely useless. Since Tom got a power boost from the Hallows and immortality for himself and anyone he chooses, he is more than happy with the outcome. Tom wanted to break her out, but he also didn't want to get in a fight with Hela. If Lady Death could contact her and tell Hela that Tom was coming, he wouldn't be so worried, but Lady Death can't contact her through Odin's barrier. If Tom were to just show up and break her out, would she try to attack him? Lady Death said that Hela is very unstable, so the answer is most likely yes, she would. In her lonesome, Hela has probably been honing her anger and hatred for however long she's been trapped. Biding her time and waiting for the moment to get her revenge. Setting that person free may not be the smartest of ideas. At least not without a plan in place to contain her, that is. Would you be able to contact her as soon as Hela's free? Tom asks hopefully. No, she has to either meditate or sleep for me to contact her. Lady Death shook her head. I guess, since that's the same as me and Manasa, it must work the same for all avatars and their gods or entities. Tom thought as he tries to come up with a plan. Alright, I'll save her for you, but I need some time to come up with a way to restrain her or something. I can't have her escaping and waging war on half of the universe. If I come up with a way to restrain her and force her into sleeping, can you contact her and get her under control? Tom asks and Lady Death nods her head from her dark throne. Yes, that would be easy. She swore everlasting loyalty to me many years ago. I'm the only person in her life that's never betrayed her. She would listen to me in a heartbeat. Lady Death says, happy that Tom is willing to save her avatar. Although Lady Death knows Tom is only doing this to get Hela as a servant, she doesn't mind one bit. She misses her, and if Hela were here, she would be his servant anyway. That's a perk of being the master of death. Okay, how do I visit you again? Is it the same as being an avatar? Sleep or meditation? Tom asked. No, I made the Hallows in a way to allow you to travel here in your body. If you haven't noticed yet, you're still in your body right now. Lady Death explains, shocking Tom as he looks down at himself. All you have to do is will yourself to me, and you will appear by my side. Huh? That's very convenient. Tom said as he got over his shock. There won't be any side effects from this, right? No, you will be fine. Lady Death assures him. Good, because I'd rather not turn into a ghost from spending too much time in the realm of death. Tom jokes. With this finished, Tom was about to leave. He became an avatar and the master of death, and now he has to prepare an acceptance speech for his award ceremony. After getting that done, he has to come up with a way to break an imprisonment spell put in place by the Allfather himself. As he was about to ask how to leave, an idea popped into Tom's head. He remembered a certain god of symbiotes that caused him to lose his animagus form. Vengeance burned in Tom's eyes as he pictured Lady Death bending Knull over her knee and giving him a good spanking. He finally has an avenue to unlock his animagus form and maybe take over the shadow dimension. With Lady Death in his corner, Tom could do almost anything. She's simply limited to anywhere but the mortal plane. Why didn't I think of this? I take everything back. She isn't useless at all. Tom thought. Hey, if you fought Knull, the symbiote god, could you win? That little boy wouldn't be able to raise a finger against me, why? Lady Death answers with a wave of her hand, as if Knull was nothing but trash on the road. Hee hee, before I go back to the mortal realm, can we take a trip to the shadow dimension? I need you to exterminate a pest for me. Tom laughs with a menacing smile on his face. That smile is soon matched by Lady Death. She knew that the only being in the shadow dimension is Knull himself. Knull was never respectful to death, so she had no problem doing as her master wished. I would be delighted to, Master. Chapter 151 Easy Work Part 1. I would be delighted to, Master. Lady Death stands from her throne and strolls over to Tom's side. Do you want me to take us there now? Yeah, I want that pest gone as soon as possible. Tom nods as she grabs his arm and they disappear from the throne room. In an open plain of shadows as far as the eye could see, Tom and Lady Death appear floating in the empty void of shadows. Should we just wait for him to sense us, or? Tom asks as he isn't sure how to gain Knull's attention. I'm hiding my aura from him at the moment. If he senses me here, he'll run and abandon this dimension for good. I could order him to appear, but once again he would run and hide. Lady Death explains. Hearing this, Tom decided to not reveal Lady Death's presence. He doesn't want Knull to escape and come back for revenge later on. Tom may have Death at his beck and call, but she can't protect him every second of his entire life, or maybe she could, who knows. Thinking of a way to lure out the god of symbiotes, Tom remembered his currently bound animagus form. It was bound in the first place because of the connection it held with the shadow dimension, which in turn is connected to Knull himself. Unbinding my animagus form should draw him out. Tom thought. Now, the problem is, how is he going to unbind it? The Ancient One was the one to tie it up, and those binds are something Tom doesn't know how to remove. Death? Tom calls to her. Yes, Master? She replies. Can you remove the binds on my animagus form? Tom asks, and she looks him over for a moment and waves her hand. Suddenly, Tom could feel as if a part of him appeared out of nowhere. It felt as if a hidden part of his soul had just made itself known to him again. A bright smile appeared on Tom's face as he felt whole for the first time in a while. Without wasting a single second, Tom morphed into a gray snake with a black underbelly and bright red eyes. Turning into his snake form, Tom felt as though he was at home in the endless shadow dimension. Floating around, Tom circled Lady Death as he swam through the air. He felt truly at peace in the shadows and could almost cry at the feeling of being whole again. Your snake form is very beautiful, Master. Lady Death comments as Tom revolves around her in joy. Tom switched back to his human form and felt a disturbance in the shadows around them. He's coming. Tom says as the shadows part and Knull in all of his gothic glory steps out. Welcome back, insect. I'm glad you decided to return for your horrifying death. Knull comments haughtily as he smirks evilly in Tom's direction. Nah, I came to clear out this dimension. I was thinking of taking it over and redecorating a bit. Maybe move some things around and change the wallpaper. Tom jokes as he doesn't even feel Knull's presence this time. Last time, Tom was frozen in fear as soon as Knull arrived. This time, Tom has become an avatar and the master of death. His newfound strength and experience has bolstered Tom to a level that can withstand Knull's aura. Not to mention, Lady Death is by his side now. The personification and entity of death itself is literally at Tom's beck and call. He isn't even a little scared with her in his corner. Due to Tom's nonchalant attitude, Knull looked surprised for a moment, but that surprise turned into anger and hatred. Without another word, Knull teleported forward and appeared in front of Tom, reaching out with one hand to grab him by the throat. You insignificant little bug. Boom. Throughout Tom and Knull's entire stare down, Knull failed to notice the other person beside Tom. Lady Death took great offense to this and didn't like how he talked to her master. The second Knull appeared before her master and had the gall to call him a bug. Lady Death stepped beside Tom and backhanded Knull away. A sickening crack could be heard as Knull's neck was snapped sideways. Knull shot backward and flew across the shadow dimension at alarming speeds. As he slowed, Knull cracked his neck back into place and teleported in front of Tom again. Knull's nostrils were flared as he hatefully glared in Tom and Lady Death's direction. Who dares lay their hands on Knull? You fucking wench. You should be bowing before me and begging forgiveness. You insignificant ant. Knull started ranting as veins pulsed on his forehead. Did this parasite just call me an ant, Master? Lady Death asks as her aura comes out. Up until now, she's been hiding her aura so she doesn't scare Knull away, but now that he's here, can he escape death? Nope. I think he did. Tom says with an ever-growing smirk forming on his face. Huh? Knull exclaimed as he felt the growing presence of death radiate from the woman before him. It's impressive how a speck of dust such as yourself has the audacity to say such things to death itself. Lady Death exclaims as she teleports in front of Knull, swings her arms upwards. What? Knull yelled in anger and confusion as his arms separate from his body. Black blood gushes out as Knull's arms start to decay and turn to dust. Starting with his flesh and ending with his bones. Everything that exited Knull's body turned to dust. Lady Death wasn't going to leave a single speck of him intact. Who? Knull yelled as he watches his arm disintegrate into dust. Chapter 152 Easy Work Part 2. As Lady Death was teaching Knull a lesson in humility, Tom had his eyes locked on the pitch-black sword strapped to the symbiotic god's waist. All Black is the first symbiote, created from the shadow of Knull. It's probably evil as hell, but with the Ancient One or Lady Death's help, Tom can probably get the sword under control. Whether that be by erasing its memory or somehow enslaving the symbiote. Tom doesn't really care as long as he can use the sword without any consequences. Death. Tom called out as the last of Knull's arms disintegrated into nothing. Yes, Master? Death replied as she used her aura to hold Knull in place. No matter how much he tried to thrash around and break free, the presence of death and decay surrounding him locked him firmly in place. You can vaporize every bit of him for all I care, but please keep the sword on his waist intact. I want it. Tom asks as he points to the sword. Of course, Master. I'll make sure to contain the sword for you once I'm done with this speck of dust. Lady Death answers sweetly towards Tom. Thanks. Be careful with the sword though. I've read that it was created from his shadow. Tom explains. I already know. You don't have to worry. I'll take care of everything. Lady Death says as she turns back to Knull. Her sweet and happy face turns sour as her eyes land back on the armless god that couldn't move an inch. Knull has never felt scared in his entire existence, but the woman before him somehow sends chills down his spine. When his mind cleared and he heard what the boy called her, Knull was truly scared. He's never met Lady Death before, but he's always heard how she isn't to be crossed. Being the man that he is, Knull has thought absolutely nothing of her. Since he's a god, Knull could never die, so why be afraid of death? Now, seeing and experiencing death herself, Knull cursed his former behavior and his inability to notice her earlier. Wait. Stop. Knull yelled as Lady Death strolled closer and closer. Lady Death just kept walking forward as Knull started experiencing new levels of fear. I'm sorry. I won't bother you again, all right? Knull starts to beg for his life, but Lady Death doesn't listen. Wait. I'll give you my sword. You can have it and the shadow dimension too. Just let me go, please. Why would I need to spare you when I can just get rid of you and simply take what my master wants? Lady Death asks sarcastically with an evil smirk. No. Stop. No. Knull screams as Lady Death walks directly in front of him and stares into his eyes. I order you to stop. Get away. Now. Lady Death just smiles and places her hand on Knull's chest. Smiling at him as though she was feeling charitable, Death leans in and whispers into Knull's ear. You shouldn't have disrespected my master. Suddenly, Knull starts to age at blinding speed. Wrinkles form on his face and all over his body as his hair started to fall out. Teeth rotted from his mouth as his body began to shrivel up like a dried fruit. The sands of time seemed to accelerate as he aged from a young man into an ancient-looking mummy. Not just his body, but his clothes and everything on his person, except for all black, started to age and fall apart. Lady Death didn't stop there. No, Knull kept decaying until he and everything on his person turned to dust and disappeared in the shadows of this dimension. The only thing that was left of the god of symbiotes was his sword and shadow, all black. The sword itself was shivering in fear as Lady Death loomed over it. All Black wanted to run and leave the shadow dimension and started looking for any opening to get the hell out. Thanks for the help, Death. Tom thanks his new servant. No problem, Master. Lady Death turns to look over at Tom with a smile. I may not be able to enter the mortal realm, but I can handle upstarts like this any time they offend you. Just let me know and I'll gladly remove anyone that offends you. When Lady Death turned her back to All Black, the sword didn't dare attack her. It didn't even think for a second to attack with her back turned. Floating in the opposite direction, the sword tried to flee at the highest speed it could muster. Where do you think you're going? Lady Death asked casually, looking over her shoulder. All Black froze in place and didn't budge another inch. Lady Death didn't even use a bit of her power or aura. With just a few words, All Black stopped dead in its tracks. Get over here and introduce yourself to your new master. Lady Death commands sternly. The sword comes floating over hesitantly like a dog that knows it did something wrong. As the sword came in front of Tom and Lady Death, it morphed into a black humanoid shape with razor-sharp white teeth. Hello, Master. All Black growls out with a small bow. Hello, All Black. Tom replied and turned towards Lady Death. As much as I enjoy this, I don't trust this sword's loyalty yet. Can you trap it somewhere in your dimension for now? I need to find a way to either get its loyalty forcefully or erase its mind and turn it into a mindless weapon. Maybe I can implant someone else's mind into it? As Tom pondered over his options, All Black wanted to crawl into a hole and die. It couldn't run away, was reduced to a servant, and now it hears what its new master has planned. Sure. Lady Death waves her hand and the depressed sword disappears completely. This marks the end of part 21 of the story, I'm Voldemort. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe the video to listen more. Hit the bell icon to get notified of all the new content uploaded to the channel ASAP.